Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back. Dr. Ken Berry here. For the next hour or so, I'm going to be answering your questions with some quite controversial answers. Many of my answers today will not be endorsed by the American Medical Association nor the American Diabetes or Heart Associations. They will say things directly opposed to the answers I'll give today. And I understand that for many people that makes things a little uncomfortable, because it tends to make you question why is this doctor in Tennessee, why is he saying things after 22 years of medical practice, reading tons of literature, reading all the guidelines? Why is he saying things that are directly opposed to the guidelines? Did he fall in his head? Is he paid off by a big supplement? Is he just crazy? Is he just stupid? And that cognitive dissonance that you may feel, I want you to really fall into that. I want you to really experience that and ask yourself the question, why? Why would a doctor be saying things directly contrary to what these big multi-million-dollar organizations are saying? I'm going to be answering your questions. So if you have questions about your diet, your health, your nutrition, or the nutrition of a loved one, this is your chance to ask your questions. Rosie's got a question. Can we do carnivore diet while breastfeeding? I've been breastfeeding my daughter for 10 months, and I'm scared that the milk supply will get reduced. And so I take it that you were either eating low carb or ketogenic, and now you're thinking about converting to carnivore. And so for all you guys, let me just explain to you how I come up with every one of my answers. I take all of the modern nutrition research. Then I blend in a lot of the older research about nutrition that many experts don't want to talk about. And then I also think about the common sense of the situation. But then we also take into account archaeological and anthropological literature as well, and paleoanthropology, all that, because all of that is the study of humans, human life, human nutrition, human health, not just modern nutrition research. And so for Rosie, the answer is going to be, let's think about the past. First of all, there are millions of human women who have breastfed their babies while eating a predominantly animal-based diet over the millennia. This has happened many, many, many times in many different places around the world, many different cultures were either forced by situations to only eat an animal-based diet, or they chose to eat an animal-based diet. All the women who had a baby in that tribe or that group of people, they breastfed their babies because there was no Similac 1,000 years ago, 10,000, 50,000 years ago. And we know that they breastfed successfully because that baby went on to reproduce. And we know that because Rosie is actually sitting there in front of her computer or her phone asking this question. If there'd been one failed reproduction in Rosie's family tree, Rosie wouldn't be here. And so, yes, absolutely. Now, I don't recommend that you switch cold turkey overnight to carnivore, especially if you've been eating just the standard American crap diet. I recommend that over a month or two, you slowly transition. Go from standard American junk to low carb with real whole food ingredients, then ketogenic, then Ketovore, then carnivore. If you want to try the carnivore diet, it's perfectly safe for breastfeeding mothers, and your breast milk will be the most nutrient dense breast milk that you could possibly make. I also advise Rosie to eat some form of liver, 2 to 4 ounces twice a week, if she's going to be carnivore while she's breastfeeding. If any of you ladies out there are pregnant and you want to do carnivore, you need to eat 2 to 4 ounces of liver a week in order to get all the vitamins and minerals that are in the liver. The American Academy of Pediatrics, the American College of Gynecology and Obstetrics and Gynecology, they would all tell pregnant women, don't eat liver. And I think some of them even tell breastfeeding women, don't eat liver. This is foolishness. Women have eaten liver for thousands and thousands of years. Many cultures actually prioritize the liver and other organs for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. They got first dibs. But now this practice that has went on for thousands of years is now dangerous. Hope that helps, Rosie. Ask more questions if you have more questions. Now we got 1,200 people watching this on YouTube and Twitter. If you please take a second right now, hit the thumbs up or the heart, and please consider sharing this video. There are people out there whose health is suffering, who do not know the power of a proper human diet. You guys, some of you guys already know. And one way you can pay it forward is to share this video and leave a comment, even if you don't have a question. That helps the algorithm know that this is important information that will help other people. Nav, I got bone broth from White Oak Pastures. Noticed it has non-carnivore ingredients like onion, celery, or more. Are they negligible? Yes. Yes. Keep in mind that when lions, who are obligate carnivores, 100%, when they're eating a freshly killed gazelle, there's going to be some blades of grass and some seeds and some pollen that gets stuck to the meat. Should the lions worry about that? No, it's fine. Okay. Humans have been eating things like onions and celery for thousands and thousands of years. We have adapted to these things. There may be a very small portion of the carnivore community who needs to avoid these things due to inflammatory or autoimmune conditions, but the vast majority of people their bone broth can be lightly seasoned with onion and celery, and it's just fine. Good question. Hey, how's it going? I do not know how to pronounce your name, but hello. Thank you so much. Ivan, is smoking weed healthy? I don't think that inhaling the smoke from any burning plant or animal or mineral is good for human lungs. We should not inhale smoke. We see the example of all wild animals. When the forest is on fire, they run away from that, not only to avoid the fire, but also to not breathe the smoke. It is dumb to breathe the smoke of any burning thing. Now, my personal belief is that smoking weed is not nearly as dangerous as smoking tobacco. That's just a personal belief. We don't have enough research either way to uphold that personal belief. John says, if I have an iron deficiency, can I fast? Yeah. All around the world, probably 30% of humans have an iron deficiency, but they can still benefit from all the almost magical benefits that come from doing some degree of intermittent fasting. Now, when you do break your fast, you need to be eating red meat and you need to be eating liver. That's going to help with the iron deficiency. Glennis says, hi from New Zealand. New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand? It's like tomorrow, right? So since Glennis told me where they're watching from, please tell me where you're watching from. What city, what state, what country? Where are you at right now? Tell me in the comments. Don't be shy. We don't allow shyness around here. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Here's one of our PhD coaches, Coach Marsha. She's a coach in our private community, and also she's a moderator here on YouTube. So you're welcome to ask me any question as long as you're respectful and don't use too many wordy dirds. Vishnu, doctor, if my CAC score came out at 50 on my LAD, is that a cause for concern? Well, you have some blockage in your left anterior descending artery that feeds your heart. So that is concerning. I think your question means, should I change my diet based on that? I'm 41, sedentary, but Ketovore for 2 months and not going back. So I 100% think you need to continue Ketovore because it's on the proper human diet spectrum. But I think you desperately need to fix the sedentary part. You got to start walking. You got to start lifting heavier things. You got to start making your activities of daily living a little harder than they should be. Okay? If you walk to the mailbox, walk back and forth 3 times. Every time you sit down in a chair, stand up and sit down 10 times. You got to stop being sedentary. The human body is not designed to be sedentary. Carmen says, Dr. Berry, I don't disagree with carnivore diet, but some people can't digest proteins as well as others do. What suggestions do you have for this? Great question, Carmen. So if you're taking any kind of acid blocker, you've got to slowly wean down and stop that, because that's going to greatly cripple your ability to digest proteins and break them down thoroughly and absorb them properly. That's number one. You got to slowly wean down. As you convert to a very low carb diet, you should be able to wean down the acid blockers slowly. Don't stop them cold turkey. That's going to help you digest proteins. And then some people, if they have a pancreatic enzyme deficiency, will need to take pancreatic enzymes in order to help with protein digestion. Your doctor will be able to help you with that. Gregory, what effect does carnivore have on a second kidney transplant where FSGS caused failure of the first kidney transplant? So you want to protect this transplanted kidney like gold in the bank. And the way you're going to do that is by eating a diet that keeps your blood sugar as normal as humanly possible. The leading cause of kidney disease and kidney failure is diabetes. Okay, so take a lesson from that. Don't ever let your blood sugar excursions go into the pre-diabetic or diabetic range. That's how you protect that kidney. Meat is not bad for your kidneys. Animal meat, animal fat is not bad for your kidneys. Animal protein is not bad for your kidneys. Not just Gregory's kidney, but everybody's kidneys. Meat is good for your kidneys. Wow, Anne's in Sweden. I want to go to Sweden really bad. Janet, 75-year-old female, carnivore-ish, 18 months labs, A1C is 5.8, up from 5.4. So anytime this happens to a carnivore, I recommend you get a fructosamine lab checked or a glycated albumin lab. Very often, the red blood cells of people on a ketovore or carnivore diet are theorized to live longer, thus having more time to glycate. So if you're truly carnivore, that's the two labs that you want to get. Trigs are 85, that's great. HDL 75, that's great. Your C-peptide's 2.7, fasting insulin 7.5. So I know you're eating very, very low carb, Janet. So get those two tests checked. Yep, and name I can't pronounce. I don't read that language. I'm confused with lots of diet methods. Everyone or professional give different advice. We all feel like this. I watch lots of your videos also. Now I'm balancing my diet in a low carb, healthy way. And I think that's an excellent strategy. I don't think there's any health guru out there that says, oh, you should eat ultra processed food only and not eat real whole foods. I think we all agree on that. I think almost every dietary influencer would agree that you should not be eating too much sugar. I think almost every dietitian and dietary influencer out there would agree you don't need to drink too much sugar, whether it's in the form of high fructose corn syrup, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, or in the form of orange juice or apple juice or grape juice. Fruit juices have almost the same, if not more, fructose in them as high fructose corn syrup, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew. Did you know that? And so there's a lot of things we agree on. One of the proper human diet principles is that you are by design a Homo sapiens sapien. You need to eat a very low carb diet, under 100 total grams of carbs a day. Some need to be even lower than that. I have a guidebook you can get for free that goes over all the principles of a proper human diet. It's down in the show notes. We'll send it. We'll email it to you for free.
You did put the right link down there, right?
I fixed it. Yes, ma'am. Team of Angels says, is the carnivore diet good for type 2 diabetes? Yes, Team of Angels. Not only is it good for it, it'll completely reverse it. So I hope you're not in love with your type 2 diabetes, because a carnivore diet, as well as a ketovore or a keto diet, will reverse your type 2 diabetes within 3 to 12 months if you eat low carb enough, consistently enough, for long enough. And so this applies to anybody with pre-diabetes. You can reverse that completely by eating a proper human diet. If you have type 2 diabetes, you can reverse it completely eating a proper human diet. If you have type 1 diabetes, you can achieve a normal A1C using 80% less insulin and slash your risk of diabetes complications by eating a proper human diet. Debbie says, what conditions can prevent no weight loss on carnivore? Well, there's a lot. There's a long list. Hormones, yes, almost certainly it's hormone related. It could be insulin, could be glucagon, it could be your sex hormones, it could be an undiagnosed adrenal condition or an undiagnosed thyroid condition. It could be any of those hormones. Carnivore 10 months, 1 meal a day, mostly ruminant meat. So you're doing everything right. I would get the full lab panel that I talk about in my Common Sense Labs book. Yeah, I've got a copy right here. It's got some scribbles on it. There's a link down in the show notes if you want to know what the full thyroid panel is, what the full annual lab panel is, and also what sex hormones to get checked. Yes, Jessica, we have seen multiple women with uterine fibroids have their fibroids shrink with both a real whole food ketogenic diet, Ketovore diet, and carnivore diet. Now, I've seen one or two exceptions where a woman's fibroids continue to grow, which is that's considered normal if you're eating a standard Western crap diet, right? But we've seen multiple women's fibroids shrink, not all, but most, vast majority. Now, when I said real whole food keto. Why do I say it that way? Well, because keto became very popular, still very popular. And so human nature is anytime something's very popular, there's an opportunity to make some money, right? And I don't blame people for trying to make money. You know, you got to pay for your kids' clothes and college and pay the car payment. But all these keto products are now on the market. If you go to the supermarket, there's keto bread, keto shakes, keto cookies, cakes, pies. These things, in my definition of keto, are not keto. Keto is, here's keto. Lots of fatty meat, lots of eggs with the yolk, low-carb vegetables, a few nuts, low-carb nuts, and a few low-carb berries. That's keto. Real whole food. Keto cake is not real keto. That's people trying to make a buck, okay? And I have friends, very close friends, who make keto products, and they know that I say these things, and they don't fault me for that because they know I'm not going to lie. No matter how much they pay me to, you know, oh, please talk about my keto product, my keto pancakes, my keto syrup. No, not going to do that. There are a few keto products that I think can be beneficial and help people, and I've got links to them down in the show notes. You'll notice there's very few links for that sort of thing. You need to be eating real food because you're a real human. Now, if you're a fake human, then you can eat ultra-processed foods from Kellogg's or Post or General Mills, or you can eat highly ultra-processed keto foods like keto bread, keto cookies, cakes, pies, shakes, treats. No, that's not what you're designed to eat. So when I say real whole food keto, that's why I say it that way. It takes all those syllables to describe keto because the marketing companies are trying to take advantage of it. LB, I don't recommend whey protein for any human. I do recommend that you get plenty of protein in your diet, but I recommend you do that by eating meat and eggs. That is the protein that the human body is designed to thrive on. If you want to thrive and optimize, you eat meat and eggs. Okay. If you want to make somebody some profit, then you buy whey protein. Muriel just tried butter for 3 days only. Just so this is people call this a butter fast. It's really just a butter only diet for 3 days. And I had so much energy. Is that okay? Yes. Butter's an ancestrally appropriate food. Butter is fine. You can eat all the butter you want. And if you want to do a few days of just butter only or just sardines only or just ribeye only, I think that's completely fine, safe, appropriate. And you might actually feel much better than you were when you were eating all the junk. Leela says, what do you think about Mounjaro to lower diabetes? Well, that's not how Mounjaro is marketed. It's marketed to manage your diabetes. It's never going to reverse your type 2 diabetes, but a proper human diet will. I think Mounjaro is a wasted copay, a wasted trip to the doctor, and completely and totally unnecessary if you're eating a proper human diet. Sniper Guy. Hey, Doc, I'm 54 years old. I've lost 22 kilos thanks to you. So that's like what? God, 44 pounds? My question is, after 3 months carnivore with dairy, my psoriasis is getting worse. Any idea why? Yes, dairy. This is one of my more unpopular opinions. This is one place I actually agree with vegans. There's no place for dairy for the average adult other than an occasional treat. I know I love cheese. I love all cheese. Okay, even the stinky cheeses, I love them. I love sour cream. I love ricotta. I love Neufchâtel. I love all dairy, heavy cream, double cream, whipping cream. But if I eat too much of that, I'll start to gain weight. So when you were a baby, 0 to 5 or 6 years of age, milk's an appropriate food for you. Human milk is the most appropriate. Goat's milk, probably the next most appropriate. I hear camel milk is great for infants. I hear horse milk is great for infants as well. Cow's milk's okay if you can't find any other alternative. But after the age of 5 or 6, about 3/4 of people lose the ability to digest lactose or lactose. They lose their lactase persistence. Only about 1/4 to 1/3 of people retain the ability to actually even digest lactose after the age of 5 or 6 or 7. And so that's when dairy should be weaned out of your diet, except for butter and ghee, because they don't contain any lactose. Also, many people find, especially people with psoriasis, find that the caseins and the wheys in liquid dairy especially cause an inflammation. Sometimes in the joint, sometimes in the skin with psoriasis. Sometimes even mental health can suffer from the inflammation caused by the dairy proteins. When you ferment the dairy, or when you change it from a liquid to a cheese or some sort of a solid, the microbe has eaten up almost all of the lactose, and it has bent these proteins. That's why the liquid milk turns into a solid cheese or a semi-solid, like with yogurt or kefir. Makes it less inflammatory. But for some people, it's still too inflammatory. So I would highly advise you, Sniper Guy, to continue carnivore and stop all the dairy except for butter and ghee for 90 days. And I think you'll be very happy that you did that. That's a good question here from Ethan. Do animal fats that you cook with, do they oxidize like seed oils if you cook with them repetitively? No, they don't. Now, they do oxidize to some degree, but they last much longer. We've got bacon grease, aka bacon fat, lard, that I've cooked with probably 10 times. I cook with it, I leave it in the skillet, I cook again the next meal, or I'll pour it back in our lard container and then pour it back out. It does not oxidize nearly as readily as the vegetable seed oils do. Tom, carnivore for 15 months now, lost 75 pounds. Can all you guys put your hand up like this and then repeat after me? Huzzah! Recently had a blood panel. It came back with high red blood cell count of 5.83. Is this related to the diet? Perhaps. It could be. If your hemoglobin and hematocrit are normal, then this is almost assuredly nothing to worry about. I would recheck this in about 3 months just to make sure. For many people, a carnivore diet helps their bone marrow make such wonderful, rich blood that they're able to give blood 2 or 3 or 4 times a year and help other people. So if any of you guys are having trouble with a high red blood cell count, high hemoglobin, hematocrit, give blood 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. Your diet not only is helping you, but it'll help you help other people as well. Melissa, I have started to take salty capsules. It says you suggested 8 per day. That's 1 serving is 8 capsules a day. The salty is an electrolyte supplement. Started having low back pain, like possible kidney. Is that possible with those? Should I taper back? There's nothing in salty. There's nothing in Element. There's nothing in Redmond's Relight that's going to cause you to have any kidney problems whatsoever. If you're having low back pain that you fear is a kidney, you need to go see your doctor. Thank you, Rod, very much. West Coast Lass. Hey, Dr. Berry, really struggling with binging and overeating. Love red meat and have tried keto, but always fail. I'm fat and I'm tired of it. So, do you have junk food in your house, Lass? If so, that'd be like you went to drug rehab and you did your time there, you did the work, and then you come home and you still got some cocaine over in the drawer in the kitchen. That's a terrible. You're literally setting yourself up to go back on cocaine. You can't have things that you're addicted to, that you're going to binge and overeat. You can't have those things in your house. You can't have them in your car. You can't have them at the office. You got to get rid of all that. That's number one. Throw it away, give it to a food bank, give it to a neighbor, give it to the chickens and let them turn it into eggs. Number two is you've got to forgive yourself and admit I'm a sugar addict. I'm a carb addict. I binge them. I overeat them, and come to grips with that. And then the final thing is you got to forgive yourself. Okay. These foods are designed, scientifically designed by engineers with PhDs to make you overeat them. Okay. And that includes some of the keto products. You don't want to have anything in your house that's hyper palatable. Okay. It needs to be very low carb. It needs to be uninflammatory. It needs to taste good, but it doesn't need to be hyper palatable. And if you don't know what hyper palatable is, look it up. If you don't know what the bliss point is, the perfect ratio of sugar and salt and fat, that they use that to make you more likely to be addicted and to binge. So many people with binge eating disorders and other eating disorders, when they go carnivore, the symptoms get so much less severe that it's like they don't have the eating disorder anymore, as long as they stay carnivore and they have nothing but carnivore foods in their house. Then when there's a moment of weakness, you get pissed off, you get tired, you get sick, you get mad, you get sad. Well, you can go in there and eat some ground beef or ribeye, but you're not going to be able to self-treat with what you were previously addicted to. I want to take this time to say hi to Patrick's wife, Tiffany. Hey, Tiffany, how you doing? Crazy. Hey, Dr. Berry, when starting carnivore, can it take more than a week before inflammation goes away? Yes, in some cases, it can take months. Does green tea cause inflammation? In most people, no. In some people, probably yes. And so if any of you guys think, I wonder if this thing, which has been touted as super healthy, I wonder if it's actually causing inflammation in my body. The way to figure that out is to do an N=1 experiment, like my wife Nisha is always talking about. She talks about this at length on her YouTube channel.
Ad nauseum.
Not ad nauseum, but at length. You want to come say hi to everybody? She's looking great today, so I'm trying to get her in here. If you just go to YouTube and type in NEISHA.
Hello.
Hi.
But I haven't posted in a while, so I'm like.
I said hi to Patrick's wife, but I didn't really mean it, so don't get mad.
Hi, Patrick's wife.
Yeah, sometimes inflammation takes months to go away, and sometimes people are still eating things in their diet or drinking things in their diet that, although they've been told by some guru on the internet that that's healthy and great for you, that's actually causing the inflammation. That's why I love beef, butter, bacon, and eggs as an elimination diet, because it gets rid of everything. Because green tea is not beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And then after 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, you can add back in green tea. And if it is inflammatory for you, your body will let you know that, because it will be pure as the driven snow after 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Lulita, A1C of 5.7. That's almost normal. You're almost there. And see my fasting blood sugar rise over 100 the past few mornings since starting carnivore this week. So it's very common for a carnivore to have a morning blood sugar that's 90 to 110. These are not necessarily pathologically high blood sugar numbers. Okay. What I want you to do is eat strict carnivore for 3 months, 90 days, and then recheck your A1C. That's going to give you your answer, Lolita. Don't worry too much about the fasting blood sugar if you're truly eating carnivore. Do you need to bump up the fat? Maybe, maybe not. You don't eat past 8 p.m. If your bedtime is 10, 11, 12, then that's perfect. Dark Sky, we're not really allowed to talk about this on YouTube. So this is something that I answer questions about readily in our private community. But we have to be very careful what we talk about on YouTube because we're being watched. Isela, 53-year-old female, menopause, Ketovore for 5 years, lost 40 pounds. Regained 20 due to falling off. Now, first, let me stop right here and say, how many of you guys have tried Weight Watchers or some other diet? You lost 40 pounds and then you fell off. What happened? Did you just gain back 20 or did you gain back all 40 plus 5 or 10 more? This is the beauty of a proper human diet, because once you understand even a few of the principles of a proper human diet, you never gain it all back. That just doesn't happen. You might gain back some if you fall off, but you never really fall all the way off again, because you get it. Once you get the principles of a proper human diet, it makes so much sense that you might cheat a little, you might fall off for a few weeks, but you're never going to go back to just eating the same old shit that you used to eat, because you know better. Back on Ketovore, using a CKM, ketone levels are erratic. Even when I don't eat, that's totally fine. That's perfectly physiological. No worries about that. Keep doing strict Ketovore. Ketovore is under 10 total grams of carbs a day, and it is on the proper human diet spectrum. So keep doing what you're doing, and you'll get these 20 pounds right back off. Thank you, Happy Kathy. Thank you, Jesse Dawn. Elizabeth, a family member has chronic kidney disease, stage 3. Will the carnivore diet reverse it? Maybe. Studies, no. There are no studies about a carnivore diet and chronic kidney disease currently. We've had enough deaths. I totally agree. We've lost millions of people to kidney disease. Now, what's the leading cause of kidney disease, Elizabeth? Diabetes, prediabetes, type 1, type 2, LADA, MODY. That's the leading cause of kidney disease and kidney failure in the modern world. So carnivore is the exact opposite of the standard Western diet. It's very, very low in carbohydrates. There are no processed foods. It is uninflammatory, and it is ancestrally appropriate. Okay, so if you want to keep your blood sugar and your serum insulin levels normal, which is going to protect your kidneys, and in many cases help reverse this back to stage 2 or even stage 1, a carnivore diet is the way. Real whole food keto will do this as well, as will Ketovore. Thank you, Doug. Cool Korean. Carnivore on week 3 and feeling darn great. Goodbye meds. My blood pressure is close to normal. It's very common side effect of carnivore diet. Stool has been rough, but healing well. I hope to say goodbye to my other health problems. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. P.Dollar, can I send you my blood work I just had taken after 1 month of carnivore and receive your analysis? This is something that we do in our private community. Our coaches will take a look at your blood work first, and if they can answer your question, they will. If they can't answer it, they bump it up to me. There's a link down in the show notes if you want to join our proper human diet community. Jesse Dawn, carnivore for 3 months, type 2 diabetes is healing. Yes, it is. Glucose went from 317 to the 100s and 100. PCOS for 15 plus years and infertility, had first ovulation test on Wednesday. I'm beyond grateful for your help. Meat is king. Carnivore is the way. If any of you ladies are having trouble conceiving, trouble with fertility, or you know someone who is, a high-fat carnivore diet is quickly becoming the recommended diet of more and more fertility specialists. One of my good friends is Dr. Robert Kiltz, and he's a fertility specialist in New York State. And he recommends for both the future dads and the future moms, the men and the women, high-fat carnivore. high-fat carnivore. If you want to get pregnant, high-fat carnivore. Keto will definitely help. There's no doubt, but high-fat carnivore is even better than keto. Happy Kathy says, can you do carnivore with hypothyroidism? Yes, you can do. You can benefit from a carnivore diet with hypothyroidism, with hyperthyroidism, with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. You could even benefit from carnivore if you don't even have a damn thyroid gland. If you are a human being, you are going to benefit from eating a proper human diet, and carnivore is on the proper human diet spectrum. Nav, on day 22 of carnivore, any tips for meat aversion? Yeah, I've got several. This is probably the best one. If you're still overweight or obese, Nav, and you've got meat, fresh, tasty meat in the fridge, and you're like, I don't want meat, then don't eat. This is a great opportunity for you to fast, because I promise you, when you get truly, truly hungry, you will be so happy that you've got some meat in the fridge. And then you can break your fast and eat. Nikki says, can this diet help with hiatal hernia? I do not want to have surgery, but I have daily pain. So here's the thing, Nikki. I have a hiatal hernia, and I used to have the most ungodly heartburn. It was terrible. I took 2 Nexium every day for my heartburn. When I went ketogenic, real whole food keto, my heartburn got 80% better. So I went from 2 Nexium every day to maybe a Tums twice a day, or a swig of apple cider vinegar twice a day. And then after 1 month on the carnivore diet, I still have my hiatal hernia. You can see it on a chest x-ray, but I have no heartburn reflux, no pain whatsoever, ever. In 5 years I've been carnivore? I don't even know how long it's been. That's why I stay carnivore. That's one of the main reasons. Heartburn was awful for me. I don't have it anymore. So it's not going to cure your hiatal hernia, but really you don't care about that. What you really care about is your heartburn reflux pain. And that's going to get much better on carnivore. Mimi, any advice, diet, supplements wise, for my 11-year-old daughter that has excessive hair growth, facial hair? Her mom has PCOS. I'm desperate for her. Yeah. She needs to, first of all, be checked out thoroughly by her doctor, because this is probably early PCOS, but we don't know that yet unless she's been completely evaluated by a specialist, OBGYN. Once she's been diagnosed, yes, this is definitely PCOS, nothing else, because there's other conditions that can cause this. Once you know for sure it's PCOS, then she needs to, over the next month or two, adopt a real whole food keto diet, or Ketovore diet, or carnivore diet, whichever one she enjoys that she can stick with. But it needs to be very, very, very low carbohydrate, uninflammatory, ancestrally appropriate, and there needs to be lots of fatty red meat and eggs with the yolk in her diet. Okay. RJG, got my average glucose to 127 for 3 weeks with carnivore. Got sick and it has shot up to 145 for the last 2 weeks. Is there a reason for this? Yes. Anytime you get sick, anytime you're under stress, either physical or psychic or mental stress, your blood sugar is going to go up. That's a normal reaction to being sick. Doug says, what about the carnivore diet for women who have lipedema? Oh, absolutely. High-fat carnivore is the way. High-fat keto, high-fat ketovore, any of these 3 options are great. They're going to lessen the severity of the lipedema, reduce the swelling, reduce the symptoms, reduce the pain. I've actually spoken at a virtual lipedema conference about this. I have several friends in the ketovore, carnivore community who are on a proper human diet because they have lipedema, and it lessens the symptoms. Good question, Scott Weldon. Good question. Are we still in America? Is this the America we grew up in? Is this the America we signed up for? Ted says, does anything not improve with carnivore? Yeah, there are a few things that won't improve with the carnivore diet. If you've had an amputation, you will not regrow that limb, even if you're eating carnivore. If you have gone blind in one eye, if you've lost a tooth, if you've completely lost the hearing in an ear, these things will not regenerate, most likely, if you start and stick to a carnivore diet. If you've lost all your hair and you're bald, your hair probably will not regrow by starting a carnivore diet. If you're dead, a carnivore diet will not bring you back to life. Carnivore diet is such a powerful intervention, not because there's anything magic in it. And this confuses a lot of people. So let's talk about this a second. This is very important to understand. So listen up. There's nothing magic about a ketogenic diet. There's nothing magic about Ketovore or Carnivore. There's no magic nutrient in these foods. It's not what you're adding. It's what you're subtracting. You're subtracting all the sugar. You're subtracting all of the inflammatory grains and inflammatory beans and legumes. You're subtracting all of the vegetable seed oils. You're getting those inflammatory, unhealthy things out of your diet. That gives your body time to heal. It gives it space to heal. Your body's default setting is to heal quickly and stay healthy. But it can't do that if you're constantly, slowly poisoning it with these things that humans just didn't eat more than 12,000 years ago. We just didn't eat that stuff. Our body has not adapted to those things. Now, maybe in another 50 or 100,000 years, the human body, the human DNA, genetics, epigenetics, and the sialic acids will have all adapted so that we can live on Cheetos and Pepsi Cola and honey buns. But currently, you cannot have good health eating these things or anything like them. So a carnivore diet is nutrient dense. It has lots more, very often more vitamins and minerals than plants. Almost always a carnivore diet has more amino acids and fatty acids than plants. So you are getting more nutrition, but there's no magic nutrient, no magic thing in there that's going to heal you. That's not what's happening. Your body's healing itself when you remove the offending agents from your diet. I hope that makes sense. That's very important to understand. Sean, any advice for people with ApoE4 on eating carnivore? Yeah, you should eat a proper human diet, regardless of what genetic thing has been found on your 23andMe. You deserve the benefits that come from eating a proper human diet. Thank you, Audra. Doug, carnivore for 2 months, down 45 pounds. A1C is 5.3. Huzzah. No longer pre-diabetic. Fix that shit. Should I stay away from drinks made with sucralose? So what I'm about to say, I really want everybody to apply it to their life. Sucralose is probably not as bad as just drinking high fructose corn syrup, but I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's ancestrally appropriate. I want all you guys to think about this. Do you really need a sweet tasting beverage with every meal? Does every cup of coffee have to taste sweet? Do you really, really need dessert after every meal? Your answer, if you're being rational, should be, no, I don't need that at all. I just like it. Yes. So what I would recommend for everybody, including Doug, to do is to slowly but surely, definitely stop the sugar immediately. Stop the high fructose corn syrup. Stop the fruit juices. Stop all that shit. But even if you're using stevia or monk fruit or erythritol or any of those things, slowly but surely over the next month or two, keep using less and less and less. You don't need something sweet every morning. You don't need a sweet drink, a sweet tasting. You don't need that. That's a habit. And yeah, it tastes good. You like it. But that doesn't mean it's good for you. Now, I'm not saying that stevia and erythritol, xylitol, and these other things are bad for you, although some people say they are. And I think the research around them is so muddy, it's so cloudy, there's so much perverse incentive for the researchers that it's just hard to know. So why even take a chance? You don't need anything sweet. You might think you do, but you don't. Just wean it down over the next month or two. And so the way I've done this, I never sweeten coffee anymore. I never sweeten anything anymore. But what I did is I bought stevia or monk fruit drops. And so when I would, every morning I would put 10 drops of whatever it was. Let's just say it's stevia. I put 10 drops of stevia in my coffee. Tasted great. And I'm like, why do I think I need that? I'm always thinking like that. Do you guys think like that? Like, why am I doing that? Why is that my habit? And I thought, I feel beholden to that. What if the shit hit the fan and I couldn't buy stevia drops anymore? What would I do? Would I die? Probably not. It'd probably be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wean this down. So I use 9 drops a day for a few days. Then I did 8 drops, and I just kept weaning it down. And now, every now and then on Saturday morning, I get a little wild, and I'll put 3 drops of stevia in my coffee. That's how I party on the weekends. But on the average day, I never, I haven't broken my fast yet. It's 4:45 p.m. here. I haven't broken my fast yet. After this live, I'll break my fast. I'm probably going to have a pound of ground lamb mixed with a pound of ground beef and some scrambled eggs. That's probably what I'm going to have. And I might eat a second time later this evening, or I might not, depending on my hunger. But I'm not going to have anything sweet all day. I had 2 cups of coffee this morning with butter in there. I put 3 drops of Lugol's 2% iodine and 2 droppers full of the daily minerals. That's what I had in my coffee. No sweetener whatsoever. I won't have any sweetener this entire day, and I won't die. It'll be fine. Now, if you love your sweetener, don't stop cold turkey. Why put yourself through that? But just wean it down. Keep weaning it down. Use a little less as time goes on. I think you'll be happy that you did. James, thank you, Dr. Berry, for helping me fix my health. You have literally saved my life. 24 kilograms down, A1C down from 47 down to 34. This is EU, UK measurements from London, UK. James, son, I just ran my mouth. You, the one that did the work. Huzzah. Well done. Well done. And thank you for the super chat. If any of you guys, if I've helped improve your health, if you can send a super chat, great. But if you can't, that's great too. You can actually pay me back and pay it forward by hitting the thumbs up or the heart, and by leaving a comment, even if you don't have anything to say, and by sharing this video. That's how you can pay me back, because that helps me reach new people who don't know what James knows. There are people out there who are like, no, it don't matter what I eat. I'm just a type 2 diabetic. There's nothing I can do. All they need is one video to pop up on their feed. You could even text this link to this video. Text it to them. Email it to them and say, hey, I know you got type 2 diabetes. There are multiple people in this live saying they had reversed their type 2 diabetes or their pre-diabetes completely by listening to this crazy redneck from Tennessee. You should maybe check this out. Just by doing that, you could literally add 10 years of life, of not only lifespan, but health span to the life of somebody you love. So please consider doing that. What foods, T asks, specifically to reverse nerve damage? So it depends on the nerves and how severe the damage is. Some of it's permanent. Some of it really can't be reversed. But if we're talking about neuropathy, if we're talking about gastroparesis, if we're talking about innervation of the lower esophageal sphincter, if we're talking about small fibers, then you want to eat as low of a carbohydrate diet as you possibly can. You want your blood sugar to stay as low normal as you can possibly get it. You also want your fasting insulin level to stay as low normal as you can possibly get it. And you do that by eating as close to 0 carb as you can. And you need to do that strictly and consistently for months, because it takes nerves many months, if not a year or two, for them to repair themselves, rebuild a myelin sheath, to regrow if they've completely died. It takes many months for nerves to do that. They're very slow. It's not going to happen overnight or in a few days or a few weeks. but very, very low carb. You need to eat a super low carb, proper human diet. Now, if any of you guys are saying, well, he keeps saying proper human diet. What the hell does that mean? You can get a free proper human diet guidebook emailed to you for free. There's a link down in the show notes. I also have a YouTube video that goes over all the principles of a proper human diet. You can watch that for free as well. Stephanie on Carnivore, and I had a regrettable gastric sleeve surgery 10 years ago, struggling getting more than half a ribeye in, eating twice a day, trying to heal my MS. So MS is multiple sclerosis. I don't think you can cure multiple sclerosis by eating a proper human diet, but we have multiple anecdotal reports from people with MS that their symptoms greatly reduced, that their flare-ups became much less frequent. And we've even had people share their MRIs that show that the white matter lesions are getting smaller, or in some cases going completely away. So yeah, high-fat carnivore. But you've had a gastric sleeve. This also, what I'm about to say, applies to people who've had any gastric bypass, bariatric surgery, Roux-en-Y. You may need to eat 3 or 4 small meals a day, Stephanie, in order to get enough healthy animal fat and healthy animal protein in your belly. Try to do that in a 6 or an 8 hour feasting window. And that way you can have a 16 or an 18 hour fasting window each and every day. Good question, Stephanie. All right, let's go back over here. Yep. Cypher 9 is exactly correct. Metabolic change, metabolic improvement, metabolic healing, it takes time. You got it. For many of you guys, it took you how many decades to get in the sorry condition that you're in right now? How many decades did you eat like an idiot? Whether you knew better or not, doesn't matter. You're still eating like an idiot. But now that you've adopted a proper human diet and you're committed to sticking to it, are you going to be back to healthy and normal in a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months? You've been battering your body. You've been damaging your body for decades. It's going to take a while. Be patient. Trust the diet. Trust the process. I promise you the benefits are going to come. Tilly, I'm 73, have Barrett's esophagus, and started keto 2 weeks ago. My question is, can I take apple cider vinegar and aloe vera both? I'm off proton pump inhibitors, feeling better already. Yes, you can take them both. It's totally fine. As you continue to cut the carbs, Tilly, and keep them very, very low, you're going to notice that you just don't need the apple cider vinegar and the aloe vera as often. I want you to take those as needed. Don't just take them every day, whether you need them or not. They're not going to cure anything. They don't prevent anything. You can take them when you have the symptoms of heartburn, reflux. And then since you have confirmed Barrett's, I want you, after a year of keto, real whole food keto, I want you to go back to your gastroenterologist and have a repeat EGD, just to verify that the Barrett's esophagus is now gone. Lupita, thank you so much. Marcus, what's your perspective on the time when the megafauna died out? Maybe that's why we had to start agriculture. Yeah, and Professor Jared Diamond talks about this in his books. Multiple historians and anthropologists and archaeologists talk about this. About 12,000 years ago, there was some sort of event that happened to planet Earth. Some people say it was an asteroid. Some people say it was a flood. Some people say it was a bunch of volcanoes erupted all at the same time. But what's megafauna? That is an animal that weighs over 100 pounds. And so many people don't know if you don't study this stuff. We used to have huge animals roaming every continent of the earth. Now, if you think of a huge animal, you think Africa, elephants. Used to, even in North America. In the United States, there used to be camels, horses here, way before the Spaniards. There were horses in the United States, in the North American continent. There were ground sloths the size of Volkswagens. There were woolly mammoths, mastodons, all kinds of megafauna, big, fatty mammals. And humans hunted those. And that's what we basically evolved on until this traumatic event happened about 12,000 years ago. And 8 to 12,000 years ago, that's when we started trying to figure out how to grow crops. Now, it's absolutely true that we were, what would I say? We were tilling and cultivating plants, trees out in the wild. We were crossbreeding. We were pruning. We were doing all that stuff before 12,000 years ago. There's ample evidence of that botanists can point you to the literature on. We've been crossbreeding and messing with plants for many thousand years. Even in the deepest jungle, they found earth where we would burn the jungle, and then it builds up this certain kind of earth that makes it more productive. We've been tweaking things for many tens of thousands of years, but only after this megafauna die out. And we probably played a part in that. We probably hunted some of these animals to extinction. Elephants, for example, I think they're pregnant for what, 18 months? So a year and a half, they're pregnant. And so it takes them a year and a half just to make a baby. And then they've got to raise that baby. So you're talking 10 years before you've got a replacement elephant. But if you've got a tribe of hungry humans chasing you around, then you're going to lose. Those elephants are going to die out. They're not going to have time to reproduce. So we had to start learning how to grow beans and corn and rice and junk, or starve to death. That was our choice. And so many people get offended when I call grains and beans starvation food. But that's exactly what they are. They keep humans from starving to death. In no way do they optimize your health. Audra, my daughter has rheumatoid and juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and uveitis. We are transitioning to full carnivore. What do we do if her doctor doesn't help remove her Humira medication because he's not agreeable with carnivore? So I hope that you've heard Michaela Peterson's story. She had JRA and actually had an ankle replacement very young in life because of it. Now that she's on a carnivore diet, she's actually on a lion diet, which is ruminant meat, salt, and water only. She doesn't have the joint problems she used to have. And so high-fat carnivore, absolutely. You can be educating your rheumatologist about this as time goes on, because she probably won't be able or need to get off the Humira immediately. This is something that can be revisited in 3 or 6 months when her symptoms are much, much better. Keep in mind, your daughter is not under arrest by the rheumatologist. This applies to everybody watching this. All 3,900 of you guys, you're not in custody. You don't have to do what your doctor says. You are always well within your rights to have a conversation with your doctor and say, look, doc, I understand you want me to be taking this medicine, but I am on a proper human diet now, and I feel much, much better. My symptoms are much less severe. My numbers are much, much better. I want to try a trial of stopping this medication, and I want you to work with me. Why do you feel like you don't have a right to have that conversation with your doctor or with your child's doctor? You're paying the bills either directly or through tax dollars. Why don't you have the right to ask that question? Thank you, Sue Lynn. True Blues, stone root, aka Collisonia root, is said to be good for piles. Is that true? Maybe, I don't know. Piles or hemorrhoids. Other than diet, any other supplement that may help external piles hurt? Yes, external hemorrhoids can be exquisitely painful. I've never had them, but I know people who have, who are very tough, and they say they are a real pain in the ass. Sorry, I can't help it. I have to throw a joke in there every now and then. I know it's not a laughing matter. We've had multiple anecdotal reports of people eating carnivore who had external hemorrhoids, very severe external hemorrhoids with bleeding, itching, pain, went full-blown carnivore, and after a few months of that, their their external hemorrhoids were anywhere from 30 to 95% less severe. So carnivore is just a diet of food that humans have eaten for millions of years. There's nothing weird about it, nothing experimental. If you have extremely painful hemorrhoids, why not try carnivore for 90 days? It's not going to hurt you. If it helps, hallelujah, huzzah. If it don't help, oh well, you tried it. But I think you're going to notice at least some degree of improvement. Amy Phillips, just because I love you. Oh, Amy from Flagstaff, Arizona, which might be burning down. I hear it's pretty warm out there. Female, lost 170 pounds and counting. Too many things are better for me to list here. Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you for sharing this. All you guys are welcome to share your proper human diet success story in the comments. Many people think my story doesn't really matter, but your story matters, because there are people who are in your shoes that you used to be in, that you're not in anymore. Amy, can you imagine how much better she feels? She's lost 170 pounds. So many things have improved in her life, she can't even list them all. Amy is a shining example of what a healthy human should look like now, and what a healthy human should be. And I guarantee you, she's not only sending me a super chat, but she's teaching every one of her friends and family how to do this. She's leaving this kind of comment all over YouTube videos, all over the internet, because there are people who are suffering, who are searching, who are looking for the answer. They haven't heard about a proper human diet yet, but if they come across this video because one of you guys shared it, and then they're scrolling through the comments, imagine if somebody's severely obese, they've got 170 pounds to lose, and they read Amy's comment. You know what that's called? What they're going to feel welling up in their soul? It's called hope. And every human being deserves some hope. And you can help somebody out there that you've never met and never will meet. You can help them have some hope by sharing your story in these comments right now. Don't forget that. Your story is very powerful. Larry, 38-year-old male, 7 weeks carnivore, already lost 35 pounds. Currently 350 pounds, former weightlifter, back in the gym. Nice. Don't overdo it. Don't go too quick. Take your time. Curious about 1 meal a day versus 16-8. Intermittent fasting. Don't think my hunger signals work anymore. And it's very common, Larry, for somebody who's been eating a highly processed, ultra processed, high carb, sugar added diet to just not even know what real hunger feels like. You just forget, because you were snacking so much and eating so much, you were never hungry. And so when you stop all that crap, it takes a few months for your hunger signals and your satiety signals to kind of rev back up, where you can even hear them anymore. This is very normal, and this is going to be temporary. This is going to get better. Not sure how much to eat. Currently averaging 2,000 calories a day. So let me say this to you, Larry. I don't care how many calories a day you eat. I don't even want you to count calories. I want you to, when you feel hunger, I want you to go and eat fatty meat and eggs with the yolk until you're comfortably stuffed, and then quit eating. That's what every other mammal on planet Earth does. No other mammal counts calories or counts macros or counts anything when they're eating a proper diet for their species. When they're hungry, they go eat. When they're full, they stop eating, and they don't eat again until they get hungry again. Hunger is not sadness. Hunger is not boredom. Hunger is not loneliness. Hunger is not stress. But all these things, we've taught ourselves that that's what hunger feels like. That's not hunger. If you're eating because you're bored, that's not good. You should eat when you're hungry. And if you're not truly hungry, you shouldn't eat. So if this turns out to be one big meal a day for you, Larry, that's perfectly healthy, perfectly fine. If it turns out to be 2 meals a day for you in a 4 or 6 hour feasting window, that's perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. Either way, let your body kind of lead you on this. I've had Paul Mason, Dr. Paul Mason. I've had him on my YouTube channel 2 or 3 times. And we're actually just chatting about setting up another video together. Yeah, I love Dr. Paul Mason down under. He's a great guy. Country bumpkin, can being in therapeutic ketosis help repair carpal tunnel syndrome? So I understand what your question means, but let me rephrase it. What eating a proper human diet is going to do for you, and in most cases, that's going to put you in at least some degree of ketosis. It's going to remove the offending inflammatory foods from your diet that is contributing to the carpal tunnel syndrome. There's nothing wrong with your carpal tunnel. It's just inflamed. Now, yes, repetitive use does play a role in this. There's no doubt about that. But the problem with experts saying it's just repetitive use and nothing else is that I know thousands of people eating real whole food keto, ketovore, carnivore who have repetitive motion jobs and do repetitive motion hobbies that never get carpal tunnel syndrome. And it's because they're not eating the inflammatory things that contribute. Okay, so the repetitive use may be putting you at risk for carpal tunnel, but it's the inflammatory shit you put in your mouth that pushes you over the edge. So yeah, absolutely. Real whole food keto, ketovore, carnivore. Definitely follow up with your doctor, Country Bumpkin, but I think you're going to notice improvement. So Julie's got a question here that a lot of people are worried about. I recently had my ApoB checked and it was 97. That's high. Some LDL numbers are high too. Have been carnivore since October. Should I be concerned? Well, maybe, but maybe not. ApoB is the latest sexy biomarker that all the lipidologists are talking about. 10 years ago, everything hinged on what your total cholesterol was. That was the end all be all. Then all of a sudden, they didn't talk about total cholesterol anymore. It was LDL cholesterol. That's the end all be all. If it's high, nothing else matters. And now, more and more, they're saying, yeah, LDL doesn't really mean that much. It's ApoB. That's what you got to focus on. Nothing else matters. And I predict within the next 3 to 5 years that ApoB will fall by the wayside, just like total cholesterol, just like LDL, just like TMAO, just like all the other markers that they talked about. They won't talk about this one anymore because it'll no longer be sexy. There'll be some new marker that they're checking that's it. That ApoB doesn't really matter. It's this marker. This is the marker. Not sure why we keep seeing that pattern, but we do, don't we? Rob, thank you for your tireless work you and Nisha do to spread the word about the myriad of benefits a proper human diet brings to those of us who've learned this way of life. Thank you so much, Rob. And thank you for teaching your friends and family, Rob. Thanks for sharing your success stories all over the internet, on every social media. That's how we're going to move the needle. That's how we're going to reach the tipping point where it just becomes self-evident and obvious to everybody. I should be eating a proper human diet. What the hell's wrong with me? That's how we're going to win this. TB Searcher. My daughter is on 7 milligrams of clonazepam, it's generic Klonopin, after being diagnosed with schizophrenia. She wants to go on a proper human diet. How difficult will it be for her to wean off of that drug when she's ready? It will be difficult. It might be very difficult. She will need to wean down off this very addictive drug very, very slowly. Okay. I've known people that it took 2 years for them to wean down off Klonopin, clonazepam, so that they didn't have the severe withdrawal symptoms. Okay. Now, she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. You absolutely need to read the book by Dr. Chris Palmer called Brain Energy. And you need to read the book by Dr. Georgia Ede, E-D-E, called, what is it called? Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind, I think, or Change Your Food, Change Your Mind. I can never remember. Sorry, Georgia. You need to read those two books immediately. They're both on Audible if you want to listen to them. Your daughter might want to listen to them as well. She needs your help doing this, okay? With schizophrenia, everything's harder. On 7 milligrams of Klonopin a day, everything's going to be really hard, but it's absolutely doable, and she's going to benefit greatly. Be prepared to cry when you read Dr. Chris Palmer's book, Brain Energy, because you're going to have, your heart's going to be filled up with so much hope. Your heart is going to be filled with hope to the point of bursting. And that's what you need. You and your daughter deserve hope. And a proper human diet and Dr. Chris Palmer's book and Dr. Georgia Ede's book is going to give you hope, and it's going to give you a way out of the darkness. Hans, can carnivore diet do any damage to kidneys or liver? Listen carefully. This is a long and complicated answer that I'm about to give you. Is eating meat bad for your kidneys or liver? You ready? Listen. No. And if so, what should we look out for if it is causing problems? Meat is the preeminent ancestral food that human beings have been eating, okay? Humans have been doing several things for as long as we've been a species, which the anthropologists and evolutionary biologists tell us is about 300,000 years. We've been Homo sapiens sapien. We've been breathing fresh air. We've been drinking clean water. We've been playing in the sun, and we've been eating fatty red meat. Those four things routinely for 300,000 years. Why do people think that eating meat is going to harm any organ of their body? Do you think drinking clean water? What if a new article came out in the London Times and it was based on a study that was published in Nature that said, "Ooh, too much. You should limit your clean water intake. You only just drink 2 or 3 ounces a day, no more." This new study we did, this new epidemiological research shows that if you drink more than 2 ounces of clean water a day, it can be bad for you. Or if they said, well, we've just found out that you on average, you breathe 18 times a minute, you got to stop that. You got to only breathe 10 times a minute, because if you breathe too much clean air, pure air, it can be bad for your liver and your kidneys. Wouldn't you be like, what? So we've been eating fatty red meat for just as many days on this earth as we've been breathing clean air and drinking pure water and playing in the sun. None of those things are bad for you. They're all good for you. We have adapted to all of them completely and thoroughly. They are not bad for your kidneys or liver or any other organ. They are good for you. Chris says, can you give me your thoughts on primary aldosteronism? So primary aldosteronism is an adrenal gland issue. You need to definitely be following up with an endocrinologist. Most primary care doctors are not up to date enough to be your only point of care for primary aldosteronism. Endocrinologists are very good at treating this. Okay, I don't really have anything to add. Some things doctors are terrible at treating, terrible at diagnosing, but some things they're very good at. You're going to be in good hands with any board certified endocrinologist with your primary aldosteronism. All right, let's go back over here. Now's the time, guys. I'm about to shut this down. If you got a question, you better type it in the comments right now. Amy, what about gout and carnivore? Because I've heard that meat and seafood are high in purines, and I'm supposed to be on a low purine diet if I have gout. This is all bullshit, Amy. I have a YouTube video on my channel about gout and what actually causes it. It's not meat. It's not seafood. It's not organ meat. None of those things cause gout. We know what causes gout. There's research links in the show notes of that video. It's not meat. It's not seafood. I hear you, Thelma. I hear you. I grew up devout, conservative, Church of Christ. Yeah, people forget this all the time. They forget what species they are. It's like if a wolf forgot that they're a wolf and they started trying to eat grass. That's what humans have done. We've gotten so confused by the advertising and by the marketing. And what you may not know is a lot of the research studies, that's just deep marketing. That's all that is, because the research study was funded and designed by the big food manufacturer. Or it was designed and performed at a research institution that's almost fully funded by big food money. It's literally just a deep state ad. That's what the research study, when it's published, that's what it is. And we've all gotten so confused. We don't know what to do, what to eat. There's religions that tell us to eat this and avoid that. There's Tough School of Nutrition, Harvard School of Public Health. They're like, oh, eat this, don't eat that. We need to remember what we are. Human beings, we are the apex predator on this planet. We didn't used to be that. Not even close. Okay? And people in the plant-based community and say, well, you're no apex predator. You don't have claws, you don't have fangs. You can't rip flesh raw flesh off the bone while the animal's still alive. You're right. There are different ways to be an apex predator. We have a weapon that's much more dangerous than any claw, much more deadly than any canine tooth. It's called a brain. This is the most powerful weapon on planet Earth. Okay, this is what makes us us. And what makes us us was made by eating lots of fatty animal meat. All right, guys, I hope this video helped. It's not too late to hit the share button because there's people out there that do not know the truth. Thank you for the super chats. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer all the questions. I only have so much time. This is Dr. Berry. I'll be back with you soon. Be watching for it. Have you subscribed?